Awesome. And then also just know we have a guest you might hear on the
Oh, okay. That's all good.
he's
I
he
got
he
one too.
he tends to sit right next to me at all times, so
Yeah, I understand. I got one here too.
you
Hopefully
might
she
hear him
she
snoring
sleep.
during the video.
Right. Okay, okay. Well, yeah. So first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for coming on the platform. This is definitely an honor. I appreciate you taking out the time to stop by, and I really want to hear more about the amazing work that you have been doing, and I definitely look forward to hearing about your latest project. For the viewers who may not recognize you, you know you do a lot of work behind the scenes. Let them know what your name is, and definitely what do you do.
My name is James Cullen Bressack, and I'm a writer, director, producer, and I'm on here specifically this time to promote my new movie, The Workout, which comes out on VOD on October 28th. So depending on when you're watching this, it's either already out or just about to be out.
Wow, wow. Okay, yeah, we definitely want to talk about the new film, and if we had time, go back into some old things. Now, the workout. I got a chance to check out what is it called? The screening of it. For the viewers who haven't got a chance to see it, what exactly is it about?
So it is after a botched mob hit, a ex Army Ranger basically decides to get revenge for the murder of his wife, and him and his friend go on a path of vengeance to take out everybody involved. And so it is nonstop action, but it'll also tug on your heartstrings.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely exciting. Something different. I'm sure they'll really enjoy it. Now, I can ask you, what exactly is your role in this film?
So I co-wrote it, I produced it, and I directed the movie. And also, for those at home, I also play the character of Glitch, which is the character that's blurred out the entire time.
Ah, okay, I got you. I got you. Wow, that's amazing. Now I can ask you this. Um, for people we watch movies, we kind of take for granted all of these roles that have to be fulfilled in order to create great films. What exactly is the difference between someone, producing the film and directing the film and even, like you say, writing the film?
Yeah, so the best way I like to look at it is a film gets told three times. First time, the writer tells the story, and so they write out everything. They write out the whole story. The second time, the director tells the story, so they interpret what the script is. And I look at a script as like a blueprint, so I build off of it. Think of like a script basically like a blueprint of a house. So it'll tell you the model of the house, but it won't tell you what's on the walls. It's not going to tell you what the furniture is. It's not going to tell you what color the walls are. So you really get to build within that framework as the director. And then the third time the story is told is by the editor. And so the editor does, edits the whole movie. And I'm very lucky that I've worked with RJ Cooper on the last few movies. So he really understands my footage and the way I shoot things. And so we have a great collaboration. I think he's probably the only person who could get 8 cameras worth of footage during a movie like this and know exactly what I was trying
Hmm.
to do. But the producer's job is to facilitate the creative. So not only to raise the money and find the distribution, but also to put together the project in a way that harnesses the best of the abilities of the director. So basically, when I'm producing and directing, I'm just helping myself.
Wow, okay, I got you. I got you. But that's amazing. I mean, to be great at just one of those things, is pretty amazing. But to be able to do all of those things, that's pretty cool. That's really, really cool.
Well,
And you're
thank you.
doing,
I started. I did my first movie at 18 years old on a $7,000 budget. I actually started a $7,000 Green Light initiative to help first-time filmmakers do their first movies on a $7,000 budget. So we've been financing about 10 a year for those. So and we have our last one. We're financing. By the end of this year at FilmQuest. But one thing that I learned when I was doing that first movie when I was 18 is, I didn't have formal training like film school or anything. So when I did my movie, I didn't realize I was doing like 10 different jobs. I thought I was doing just the job of the director. And so it's very funny. A lot of the times people are like, why don't you just love like producing on set? Because they say I'm good at it. And I said, because producing is all the not fun things of directing in my mind, because I always produce while directing. So it's like all the things I don't enjoy of directing.
Wow, wow. Okay, okay. Now I can ask you about that as well. Like you say, since you did your first film, it's definitely a lot of stuff that happened. You know, we got COVID, we got AI is stronger and bigger than ever, technological changes. Um, how has this affected, you know, what you do? Has it been an easy transition for you, or is it kind of like a tug of war type of thing, or
I mean, I would lie to say that anybody hasn't been affected by, the pandemic or the strikes or AI in our business.
right,
I think that the way people survive in this business is the ability to persevere and finding magic and moments and telling stories so unique to you and so unique to what your sensibility is. Neil deGrasse Tyson recently said that the thing about science is that it can be repeated, but the thing about storytelling and art is it can't, because there is only one you that interprets a story or thing the way that you do. And that's what's unique about art. And so, the workout came during the strikes. We made this movie during the strikes in a way that was so unique because we were basically in a time where we couldn't work. So we found the way that we could work without breaking any of the rules. And so that's what we did with this movie. We made something down, gritty, dirty, small, but fun. In order to persevere beyond what we were capable of in a time that was telling us not to work. And so, I think that's kind of been my mindset. When I was younger, I was mentored by Wes Craven, and Wes Craven. For those of you listening, Wes Craven, did Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream and all this stuff. But when I was talking to him, he said the people that make it in this business are the ones that don't give up. And so because he said those that don't give up and stick with it eventually get their chance. And so I have made it my life's mission to never give up.
yeah, yeah, that's a gem from an icon, possibly the best of the best. I'm from Cleveland, so I definitely
Oh, of
know, you
course.
know,
There
Wes
you go.
Craven. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Now, who's in it? What's up with the cast? If you could talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, so we have an awesome cast. We have Peter J, who you guys might recognize. He's done a lot of stunt work and acting over the years, but he also plays the bad guy in my movie Darkness of Man, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he's the lead of this movie, The Workout. Then we have Ashley Evans Smith, who is an ex-UFC fighter. If you ever watch the UFC, this is her debut acting performance. And then we have Josh Kelly, who is not only a actual Army Ranger, 4 tours of duty, but he also is right now on General Hospital, and so he's one of the major characters on General Hospital right now. So I think it's really cool. But there's also a bunch of like interesting characters in there, like Augie Duke from the Mayans, as well as one of my favorite characters I was able to slip in, and actors Maurice LaMarche, who was one of my dad's best friends and is the voice of the Brain from Pinky and the Brain and Calculon from Futurama. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So one more time for the viewers, if they do want to check out the film, when and where.
October 28th, and they can watch it anywhere that they're used to renting a movie. So Amazon, iTunes, Comcast, basically anywhere that they rent a movie, it'll be there.
Okay, okay. That's cool. That's cool. Now you mentioned Jean-Claude Van Damme, Darkness of Man. If
Yeah,
it's
that's on,
okay, I can ask you about that.
of course. Yeah, and that's on Hulu right now, by the way. For those at home, Darkness of Man is on Hulu, so you can watch it for free if you have a Hulu subscription.
Right, right. Another legend. What was it like working with him?
Honestly, it was really surreal working with somebody like Van Damme, because I've had a really blessed career of working with, a lot of the people I grew up watching. So I worked with, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis, and you know, Christopher Lloyd and Shannon Doherty, and you know, all these legends that I grew up watching. And you know, one thing that's so surreal about working with people like that is it never really hits me until I'm watching them on monitor. Like I'm, you know, when a director's shooting a movie, we have our own TV screen, a monitor that we get to see what the camera sees. And I watched that in Video Village, and you know, I'll talk to them in person, but once I see them on monitor, I'm like, holy crap, this is a movie I would have watched as a kid. And that's what really like keeps me going. It gets me really invigorated. So it's really awesome that I got to do that with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Now I can ask you this because when I grew up, it was Jean-Claude Van Damme, it was Steven Seagal, Gibson, Bruce Willis. You know, they all come from that same cloth, so we see,
Yeah.
you know, what they can do on screen. But by you getting a chance to work with them, did you see like a commonality between them, or was it like a totally different experience with each individual?
Each individual person is such a unique person, but the one thing that was a common through line with all of them is they had that like magic that when you look at them on screen, there's something that's just so inherently effortlessly interesting about them that you're just like, there's a spark. I mean, there's really no way to describe it, but you want to like lean in and listen to them talk. And some people have it and some people don't. And I think that that's what makes a star. It's, you know, the best way to describe it is, you know, I'll tell a story. When I was working with Mel Gibson on Hot Seat, Mel wanted to have his character make jokes a bunch, which wasn't really in the script, but he explained to me that it was like a way for his character to diffuse tension in a very serious moment, and he would be able to play it, you know, serious. And that choice really brought his character to another level, and I really loved what he did, which if somebody else had done that, I don't think it would have worked. I think it worked because it was him. And so I think that what's really interesting about these guys is they really know what works for them, and there's a really brilliant collaboration that I've had with them in harnessing those abilities. And I think that that's what really shines, because there's something so uniquely star quality in these guys that just captivates.
Yeah, that's amazing because people dream of just meeting them, but to actually get to work with them and do what they love to do and do what you love to do, that's really, really amazing.
I grew up, you know, I grew up watching movies. I made my first movie at 18 years old. You know, I'm only 33, so for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, wow, these people are listening to a kid and allowing this kid to, you know, fulfill his dreams of talking to them about his movie. It's really surreal. You know, I'm so blessed that I get to do this, and it's one of those things that I just I thank my lucky stars every day.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I wanted to ask you about one more artist, if that's okay. Um, the dog, DMX. Now you was a
Oh
part of
yeah.
his final film.
So I directed DMX and I produced a movie with him as well. And X was a dear friend. I loved. I mean, X was the best. I loved him. He was so much fun to hang out with, and I remember a lot of the time I would hang out with X. He was so silly. And there's one thing that I always do. I mess with friends the same way, because whenever I would call him, he would never answer the phone saying hello. He'd be like Wendy's or like Jack in the Box. Like he would just that's what he would do. So I just literally do that whenever people call me. I'll just say like, you know, some random fast food joint. And he was just so funny. And I remember one time I was like, you know, X, what are you gonna do when everybody realizes how nice you are? Because, you know, and he's like, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing that I love. I think everybody love about DMX. I mean, you got a million rappers, but he's one of the ones that transcends music. You hear about people crying at his shows or praying or just, you know, he's doing these nice things for people. And I think that's something that's just as great as his music and his movies as well, his personality, you
Yeah,
know.
he really cared about others, and you know, R.I.P. to the dog. I will always miss that guy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Rest in peace. Now let me see. Okay, well, we got about 5 minutes left. Now you talk about doing your first film at 18. So when did you actually develop this passion for filmmaking? And to my understanding, it runs in your blood. It's in your family.
Yeah, yeah. My dad was a writer, so he wrote like Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and stuff. But I really like developed a love for film because when I was little, like my dad got very sick, Meatball, stop it. Sorry, my dog is scratching himself. Uh, but my dad got very sick, and he was bedridden. Like before that, he was like my baseball coach, and so in that, like the only thing we could do was like talk about and share movies because he wasn't able to like leave his bed for a couple years while he was waiting on like a liver transplant, and I think being able to share that and that like magic of understanding film, I really you know started to love it. And then when I got older, I was that kid in like high school and middle school that like they'd give me a book report and I'd make a short film about why I didn't want to do the book report, like, and I'd turn that in. And I was just always trying to make movies, and I was convinced I was going to be a director. And I remember at one point I was failing out of chemistry, and I was like, my mom was like so upset, and I was like, Mom, I'm not going to need that when I'm making movies. And I used to, not that I recommend any of this, but I didn't have a ton of friends in high school, so I would like cut class and go. There was a local cinema right by the theater, and I would just hang out and go see a bunch of movies, and I'd see like everything that was playing there, and that was like kind of my like sanctuary. And so it's just like a love affair of like there's nowhere I feel happier than when I'm in a theater.
Man, that's a blessing to, because when you're in high school, everybody be like, "What you want to do? What you want to do?" Most people don't know. Some people might lie and say, "I'm gonna do this because it sounds good," but you have a few people, man, that just know, like, "No, this is what I'm gonna do." You see them 10, 20 years later, and they still doing it. That's amazing. Like Wes Craven say, "You just don't quit. You keep going."
Yeah, there's only one thing I ever wanted to do other than make movies, and that's
Hmm.
when I was 4 years old and 5 years old. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I wanted to be the Undertaker. I thought he was awesome. And my wrestling name was the Sandal Kid, which is why my production company is called Sandal Kid Productions.
Ah, okay. That's dope. That's dope. That's full circle. Let me see. We got 2 minutes left. And you mentioned some classics, man. I gotta mention it. Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain. Your dad was a part of that. Have you ever did or considered doing a cartoon or anything like that?
So I did do one cartoon movie that I directed and co-wrote with my dad, and it was called Cargo. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now, and it's a musical, and it's a lot of fun. It's if you could get over the bad animation, because the animation isn't wonderful. We had a low budget, but it is a fun and silly movie for sure. With I think a great message, and it was one of those movies that my dad and I were writing it towards the end of my father's life, and he passed away about 6 years ago. And when we were writing this together, it was kind of very special because I knew he was very sick and he knew he was very sick, and we never really talked about it. But I think that energy is in the script because it's about a son carrying on his father's legacy, and that's how he saves his father. And so it's a very interesting story that both of us wrote together, subconsciously without ever discussing that. So
Man, that's a blessing as well because you just see in life a lot of fathers and son, they kind of on opposite ends, and maybe the father had his vision for the son, and the son want to go this way, and they try to struggle to connect at some point. But for you and your father to be able to love the same thing and be able to work on it, you know what I'm saying? That's just so dope, man. That's really, really inspiring. Um,
yeah, it's forever going to be one of my favorite movies I've made because I was able to do it with my dad.
yeah, yeah, definitely, man. That's beautiful. Okay, last thing before I go. International Action Director of the Year by the Los Angeles Tribune International Film Festival. Congratulations on that. But what does that mean to you? Because you from Cali, right?
Yeah, I am, and it was also really surreal because they also gave me like a lifetime achievement award, and so like I'm 33 years old, and I feel like I'm just getting
Mm,
started. So I hope I'm the first person to earn two lifetime achievement awards. So I'm both honored and humbled by it, but it invigorates me to want to like try harder because I'm like hey, if they feel like I was deserving of it now, wait until they see what I'm gonna do in the next few years.
yeah, man, that'd be so dope. And I'm gonna be watching, and I know the viewers will be watching as well. I look forward to that. So I just want to thank you again for coming on the platform. It's definitely been a phenomenal episode, and shout out to David as well for help putting it together.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm blessed that you were able to share your platform with me. And for all those listening, please check out the workout on October 28th or on
Mhm.
VOD, or if it's already past the October 28th date, check it out right now. You'll like it, I promise.
Yeah, yeah, it's dope. It's dope.